From nothing to something, we're here.
That's funny as fuck.
We're here. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Danny Moe here with another episode of From Nothing to Something. I'm here in the studio with Joey Beltran. What's going on, Joey?
You know, not much, man. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, of course, man. I'm happy to have you. It's a weird thing with you because like we have so many similar friends. We it's like every time we see each other, I know who you are and I don't want to, freak out, like, fan out on you and shit, and I don't want to come up and bother you, but one time actually, I don't think when you walked in you asked me, but I didn't talk about it. There was one time when I saw you, I think you were with your mom, and you were at, what's the Peruvian restaurant in Oceanside? Banca. Yeah, I saw you at Banca, and I was like, oh, shit, that's Joey Beltran. And, like, I had seen you before at, like, gyms and fights, and, like, you kind of looked at me, you gave me the look like, oh, I think I know that guy. And, like, I think you were with your mom, and I just didn't say anything. But it's funny because now I finally have you here in the studio, and I got a chance to talk to you, man.
I know. It's funny, but it's not funny. But I always make the joke, like, I get hit in the head a lot. I tend to forget names. But it's kind of true. It's kind of true, but, like, yeah, definitely. Like, being here with you, I'm like, dude, I definitely know you.
Yeah.
But, yeah, hell yeah, man. It's good as happening.
Are you good? You comfortable there? You want me to bring the mic up a little bit?
That's perfect.
No? Okay, perfect. So, I told you a little bit about the podcast and what it's about, and I've followed your career for a while. Obviously, you've had a long career in MMA. I kind of want to know a little bit about the beginning, how you got started in MMA, and how you got to where you are today.
All right, cool, man. Well, my first taste of combat sports was boxing. And I remember all the kids the older kids in my apartment complex growing up, like the older brothers, they were all training at this guy's house, this guy named Frank. His name is Frank Sereno, but they would always say, oh, we're going to go to Frank's to do boxing. And he was a guy who ran just a community program for the kids in the barrio, and he just trained us for free. And so it took me literally a year of like begging and crying to my mom for her to let me go. And finally, like, she let me go when I turned 10. And so then I went and started boxing, and I was already a big kid. And so I would always have to, like, box, like, 14-year-olds, 15-year-olds.
How old are you at this time?
10.
Okay, yeah. Oh, I see. Yeah.
Because I was big.
Right. You're a big
like
10-year-old, yeah.
150, 180, probably something like that. And, like, so I was, like, I learned how to take a shot early and, like, would try to act tough most of the time. Like, that didn't hurt. But, like, yeah, so that's how that started. And I did that pretty consistently from, like, 10 until, like, 15 when I got into high school. And then I tried to wrestle in junior high, but every time the grades would come out and I would lose my eligibility.
So how did it? They didn't have waivers for you at all when you were in high school. Like for my school, it was like 2.0, but if you got like above a 1.5, you had to go get a waiver or whatever.
Funny story. That's kind of when I got the first taste that like athletes kind of get special privileges, because I remember like I had to go do the waiver for my first year of eligibility because I had like horrible grades my whole freshman year.
Yeah.
And then I met the wrestling coach Mark Nelson at Carlsbad High School. Like, he had such a huge impact on my life. Like, he was the first person, like, he saw me like as this big, strong kid. He's like, I want you to come wrestle for me. And he like kept showing interest, and I would always like see him like randomly. Like, hey, Coach Nelson. He would always come and like talk to me and like tell me like, try to get my mind right, like, and to go I can do this. And then I walk in to do my for lack of my hearing, if you will, for the eligibility review. And it's like Coach Nelson, Coach Primer, who's an assistant wrestling coach, and then like Coach Stancy, Mrs. Stancy, who's like the vice principal, who like loves all the athletes. I was like, oh, I see what's happening here. And, like, I got allowed to wrestle, and then I managed to keep my grades up and did really good in high school. Like a couple times CIF finalist, league champion a few times. And
What'd you wrestle at in high school?
Heavyweight.
Heavyweight?
I was always a heavyweight.
You always been a bigger guy.
I was always a heavyweight.
Yeah, you're tall. How tall are you?
Like 6'1.5".
Like okay.
Yeah.
You seem taller, but you're also like a big dude, like you said, so it makes sense.
Yeah, and so wrestling in high school, and then like I coulda, shoulda, woulda, but like one of the biggest, I don't want to say regret, but like life-changing things I did was I killed it my junior year in wrestling, and they brought me in, my wrestling coaches, they sat me down and talked to me about like quitting football and about pursuing a scholarship.
Right.
Okay, I was like, all right, I did it. And I quit football, went to the football coaches, I'm not going to play. And then like summer came around, and I missed all my boys. And so then, all right, I went and joined the fucking football team again. And I ended up blowing my ACL the 6th game of my senior year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that sucked, man. That sucked. But then I remembered, like, I still went. I went to Coach Nelson's classroom and, like, literally begged and cried. Like, I'll sign a waiver. Like, just please let me wrestle. Please. He's like, okay. And they let me wrestle, but I couldn't run. I couldn't condition. I couldn't do anything. I would just go out, and if I could toss people in the first round, great. But if not, then I was in some trouble. And I still did really good. I still CIF finalist, still league champ, and got to the 3rd place match in Masters and lost.
Wow.
Oh man, that sucks. But whatever,
So you played football. What position did you play in football?
I played line.
You played line,
center,
offensive line?
Played center, center and tackle.
Oh, there you
go.
I
was never good. Like I never like grasped the concept. Like I just like when I look back, like if somebody like would have explained it to me, like as far as like O line, like I just thought like, oh, you're O line, you're a big guy, just run forward and just blast the guy. There's so much technique that goes into the offensive line, like using your hands, footwork and stuff. Like I've always had like heavy feet.
Right.
I'm like the most unathletic professional athlete I've ever met. And it was like I just couldn't like grasp the concept. And so like 18, 19, 20, 21, I was just like a knucklehead, like running around, kind of like a little criminal, doing lots of drugs, went to jail and everything. And then I started like cleaning up my act when I was like 22. And when I was 22, I went to Palomar. And then I was like, oh, whatever, I'll play football. And then I joined the Palomar football team, played a season with those guys, and actually did really good. But that's when I learned like I'm too small to play O-line and not athletic enough to play linebacker. So I was kind of in that middle area.
Originally, what were you're from the San Diego area?
Oh yeah. Born and raised in Carlsbad. Well, I was born in Oceanside, raised in Carlsbad.
Got it.
But like my whole adult life, like lived in Oceanside.
Yeah.
I moved away a few times. Always managed to come back.
Got it. So you go through high school. You're born in Oceanside, raised in Carlsbad. You played football. You wrestled. You went to Palomar College, and you started playing football there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And so then I had a girlfriend at the time, and she's like, "Oh, well, first of all, before that, like, she's like, oh, come to New York." Because remember, like I said earlier, like I got in trouble and I had a felony on my record. Literally, like the month after high school, I got in trouble, got arrested.
Yeah.
And boom, like that. Well, okay, well, no more jobs for you, Joey. Like, every time you have to check that, have you ever been convicted of a felony? Like, well, yes, I have.
Yeah. I tell Melanie all the time, and I had a guest on 2 episodes again, Jonathan Molina. He's a amateur, up and coming amateur here in San Diego, and he got out of jail and started fighting, and he's been out of jail only for like a year now, and it's crazy because you can make such a silly mistake as a young kid and be forced to pay for it for the rest of your life, and it's unfortunate.
I look at like 19-year-olds and I'm like, they're babies.
Yeah,
they're like like walking, talking babies. Like, like you can put your clothes on. That's pretty much it.
That's it. You don't even know how like insurance works yet. You know what I mean?
I'm like, what? I gotta pay my taxes now? Like, what?
Yeah, exactly.
And anyway, so I moved out to Hawaii. I moved out to New York with this girl. Came back.
Is it upstate or city?
I lived actually right outside in Long Branch, New Jersey.
Okay.
And then, but like I always say New York because like every weekend I would just go to New York.
Right.
Where she lived in Staten Island, and we'd go to the city, and it was fun.
Yeah, I'm from Connecticut originally, right outside of New York City, so just the other side of Long Island. So
ride the ferry, the Staten Island ferry all the time. Get some beers on the ferry, go out and hit the town. It was awesome.
Yeah.
And so that girl, same girl, boom, I moved to Hawaii with. And then
man, bouncing all over, man, coast to coast.
I know, son of a biscuit, you know. And when I was in Hawaii, like I transferred from Palomar, like academically, not to play sports or anything. And that's when I was like like at Palomar, I managed to get really good grades. I had like a 3.4 when I transferred. Nice. And then I got to real college. I was like, oh.
Yeah, the 4-year college.
This is a little hard. Yeah. This is a little different. Like, you actually have to come every day and do your homework. Like, fuck. And then I got, like, a job bouncing as a bouncer. And, like, then I really stopped going to class. And then one day I was waiting for the bus. And I was, like, happened to look over. And I discovered an MMA gym. It's called Bull's Pen in Hawaii, Oahu. And I walked in first. Watched.
What year was this?
Oh, this was like
roughly
2004, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah, 2004 or 5, something like that. And then I went back the next day and tried out a class. And then I met the guy, the owner of the gym. His name was Dino Fernandez, and like he liked me because I could wrestle and I could box, and I would just like. And he didn't have any partners with big guys, and so he pretty much let me train there for free because I was like a sparring partner for his heavyweights. And then like I remember the first time I went to an X1 promotion out there in Hawaii, and it was at the Blaisdell Arena. Mm-hmm. And I remember like first of all walked in and the place was packed, and then I saw like my teammates. Like people that I was training with, like that Wednesday, were fighting on Saturday in front of thousands of people. And I was like, "Oh, like this is real. Like we can do this." It's like before it was like you just see like UFC on TV. It's like, oh, it's not real. Like you can't really do that.
Right.
And so like that's when I got the bug. I was like, oh, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do it. And so then I ended up like dropping out of school.
So what were you studying in school originally?
Communications.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
Just real generic communications.
Yeah. Well, I mean, a degree is a degree, whatever.
Yeah.
As long as you're doing something. I've talked about it before on the podcast. I really think that it's just important to be active. You know, you just got to kind of ride the wave.
And you know, like the funny thing is like when I went back to school, I was like, okay, like my brain is like a muscle, and it's been like dormant for years. Yeah. It's been dormant I'm just gonna go back into training, and I looked at it like that. I'm just gonna go to school and get my brain working.
Right.
And like it led me to fighting.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's crazy.
Like, so it's cool. And you know,
so you get to this point where now you see like, there's, you know, this is like a real attainable goal.
Yeah.
And people are chasing it that I'm training with every day. This is what I want to do.
Exactly. So then like months go by and I end up coming back home to California, and I'm like start running by myself and training by myself. Going back to the boxing, the old guy, he's still training kids in the neighborhood. And I'm going training, but it's like, I'm like, I don't know. I don't really know what to do. MMA hadn't blown up yet.
Right.
It was. And then I saw this youngster from college. His name was Nick Trejo. And he's like, oh, man, you're back. He's like, you should come train with us. I was like, where? I was like, where? He's like, oh, North County Fight Club. We train at this karate dojo. He's like, yeah, one of our guys is in the UFC. His name is Jason Lambert.
Oh, okay.
He's 3-0 in the UFC right now. And I was like, oh shit, all right. And then like the next day I'm in school, and I'm like hating life. I'm back in community college, and then I opened this newspaper from North County Times. And it's like a profile on Jason Lambert in the North County Fight Club. I was like, oh yeah, that's a god shot.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm going. And then like funny story.
It's like the universe letting you know, like, dude, you're fucking wasting your time. This is what you got to do.
And so I walk into the gym, but keep in mind this time I'm like 300 pounds, like long hair, like beard, stoner, like like I walk into the front desk, and it's so funny because how many times I saw this happen when I worked at gyms. Like I walk into the front desk and I'm like, yeah, man, I want to fight in the UFC. like, can you help me?
Yeah.
And the guy who ended up being like my first manager and still a friend to this day, his name is Jeff Clark, working the front desk. He's like, just laughed at me. He's like, ha. He's all, yeah, you want to take this class, and signed me up for the jiu-jitsu and the Muay Thai program. And so then I started going, and I was like, after a couple months, I started like beating everybody up in like the public classes. And then he invited me to go to the team training. And so then I started going to the team training, and like I had mentioned before, like Jason Lambert was on the team, Eddie Sanchez, old school UFC veteran. He had just had his first fight in UFC. He won by knockout. And there were a couple other like really good guys there, and like I was like, yeah, this is awesome. I started doing it. Still kind of like half-assing, still kind of partying on the weekends, but like was like I was on the right path. And then like one day, one of my other teammates hits me up on MySpace, so it tells you when it was.
Yeah,
hits me up on MySpace. He's like, hey man, they're looking for you at the gym. There's an opportunity for you to fight in Strikeforce. I was like, well, I don't know, man. I've been doing it for like 3 months. And he's like, it pays $1,200. I was like, I'll be there right now. Yeah. Showed up, signed the contract, and then like the next day, not the next day, but like the next week, I was on a plane going to fight in Strikeforce. And it wasn't like a big one. It was like one of their smaller ones, but it was still like in front of 3,000 people at the San Jose Auditorium, or one of the little auditoriums in San Jose. And I lost, but I lost a 3-round decision, and it was I was super heavyweight at the time. I was like 285. Mm-hmm. The guy I fought was 265 with like a 6-pack. Like just, I'm not throwing out accusations, but maybe he was on some supplements. And
no, man, it's just protein, man.
Yeah, you know. And so like, I remember like I was like circling around, and he caught me with boom, big right hand, and like my eyes started closing, like I could feel it already start puffing up. And I remember like having that feeling. I was like, all right, man, if I'm going down slinging. It's just like, I just rushed him. And I remember like the feeling of like the crowd like like the whole, everybody stood up. It was
like they fed off your energy.
Yeah. And like I felt the cage shake. Ooh. And felt the vibration on the back of my neck, and I sat down in the middle of the round. And my cornerman's like, Joey, are you all ready? I was like, fuck yeah. So amped. And like, that's the feeling I go back for every time. Like, to this day, however, 12, 13 years later, you know? And so I lost that first one, and then like went on like a 4-fight streak, all knockouts, boom, lost another one, won 5 in a row, got a little title out in Oklahoma. And then like, I remember I fought, I think Houston Alexander was my last like regional show. Mm-hmm. I fought Houston Alexander, stopped him in the second round, and then I was just home like eating one day, and then my manager called me. He's like, I want you to tell me that you still have gas in the tank. I was like, absolutely, man, I'm fine. He's like, all right, now I want you to tell me that I'm the best manager in the world. I just got into the UFC. I was like, what? He's like, you're fighting Hollis Gracie in 7 days.
Oh, I was shit.
Like, fuck yeah, man.
Yeah.
I was like, that guy sucks. Let's go. You know, everyone was like tripping, like, oh, he's a Gracie. I'm like, dude, that guy's garbage. He's just, he's a 4th degree jiu-jitsu black belt, but that's about it.
Right.
I was like, I got that all day. That's how it went, man. And then everybody, like, you know, after that, like, it's weird. Kind of like the journey had so many, it was like a roller coaster, you know. There were so many other, like, what's the word? How you say it? Like outside factors, like that people just don't see. Like they just see when you show up on fight night, and they don't really give a fuck like what happened to you in your personal life.
Right.
And rightfully so. At the end of the day, like you're there to do a job, and I always made sure like whatever was going on, whatever personal storms I was facing, like I always like, you know, put on my hard hat and suit up and show up and go to work. Yeah. It sucks because I feel like there's this point where you reach like a level of notoriety, right? And you show up and you keep showing up, and people just expect you
to show up every time, and they kind of forget that you're like a normal person. You have normal shit going on, you have normal issues, you have normal problems, and you've heard the analogy before. It's like an iceberg, right? Like you only see what's above the water, but really what does the damage is all the shit underneath the water. The iceberg is much thicker there, and that's like where all the struggle goes through, and the hard work and the dedication. Everybody sees all these champions on UFC, right? Or whatever it is they want to do in life. They see these people who are all successful, millionaires and shit like that, but they don't really understand the grind that it took to get to that point.
Yeah, man. Like I remember like so many times like thinking like, fuck, man, is this really what I should be doing? Like scraping change like off the bottom of my car and like the couch at my mom's house just so I could put gas in the tank to go to the gym, and like that old saying, the struggle is real. Like, yeah, man, the struggle is real, but it's like I just had it. There was no plan B, and a lot of times, especially like in coaching, sometimes I'm not that good of a coach. Well, I just don't really have, what's the word? Empathy? Yeah. I don't really have empathy with people when they give me excuses as to why they can't get it done.
Right.
I'm like, sometimes somebody will tell me like, I have a job or whatever. I'm like, well, I had 3 little part-time jobs so that I could make sure that I was at training every day, twice a day. I was like, I was a telemarketer. I would drive a delivery truck. I would do whatever I had to do. Like work as a DJ for like a party company, DJing bar mitzvahs on the weekends. Like shit, it ain't fucking glamorous, but it got me to the point that I needed to be, and it's a lot of times too, it's like you find out like really like how bad do you really want it? What are you willing to do?
Right.
What are you willing to give up? Like there's been tons of relationships, tons of friendships and stuff that I had to walk away from because it just wasn't like
beneficial.
Exactly.
It wasn't beneficial to you.
Exactly. And like what can I say? Yeah.
No, I completely resonate with what you're saying, because it's funny, a lot of people, they think that the podcast is an MMA podcast, and it's more just about life and success and trials and tribulations on how to get there. And I've had all sorts of guests, photographers, bodybuilders, MMA fighters, regular people, Marines, just anybody who's successful, who's chasing a dream, who's chasing their passion, who's relentless in the pursuit, because I think that that's what life is all about. And I really do think that fighters, they have this one real unique quality, because when it comes to fighting, and this is what I tell people all the time, like, now I'm in school and I haven't fought in a couple years, and people ask me all the time, they're like, oh my God, like, how could you do that? And I don't, those people obviously aren't involved in the sport, or they don't, and it's normally like an older people. It's like a teacher or something, that'll ask me. And I always explain to them that with fighting, there's no bullshit. Like you can hide. If I worked at a Fortune 500 company, right? And like I can kind of bullshit my way through my life and my career, you can do that. There are people who are bullshit artists all the time. In fighting, you can't do that. When they lock that cage, if you were fucking around during training camp, that dude across from you is about to show everybody who's watching that you were fucking around and this isn't what you want to do.
Yeah, I would always. That's funny. That's almost like to the exact word.
You hot, man? You good? It's fucking hot, huh?
It's cool. Whatever. I would always tell people like that's kind of like one of my, my mantras, if you will. Like at the end of the day, like they're gonna shut that cage and the lights are gonna come on and we're gonna find out who you really are.
Right.
And that's one place where I'm confident of who I am. I know what's up.
Right.
With myself. It's weird. So many times, like, in my life, like the cage competing. That's when I feel safe. That's the only place that I feel like I have control.
Right.
Everything else is just so many like variables and just things you can't do anything about.
Yeah, you don't have any control of. Yeah.
Like the world stops. And it's, for me, it's peaceful. For me, it's like my only real taste of serenity I have is like when I'm in the cage, or now like in the ring. Like it's like, if I can breathe, I can control this.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can find some peace here.
You know, in like in the military, we have a term called embracing the suck, right? Like you have to embrace the suck. You have to you acknowledge that it sucks. You accept it. But you get to a point where you realize that this is how it always is. Yeah. And you just have to live with it, you know? And there's like a level of adversity that you constantly have to be dealing with to find, what's the word? Like to find happiness in life. You know, I think that the people that are most unhappy are the people who they're not challenging themselves at all. They're not doing anything. They're living day in and day out doing the same fucking shit. They have a pattern. They have a routine, and there's nothing that's making them question shit about their life. And I think that's such an empty way to live. It's such a fucking waste.
Yeah, like I'm a big fan of like Tony Robbins and just anything like as far as like, for lack of better terms, like in the self-help department, or like you know, like Les Brown, even that guy Jake Ducey, like his Law of Attraction, all that good stuff, you know. And like Tony Robbins like says, like, you know, real, like the true happiness is found when you're making progress, like in whatever the case may be, like in your job or your dreams that you're going out for. Like if you're progressing towards something every day, like you're generally a lot happier. So yeah, you know. But also too, it's like I empathize with people. Like it's hard sometimes. Like you get stuck in a rut, and it's easy for me to say like, oh well, you know, you can do this and you can do that. But sometimes, man, you just get stuck, and it's like I see, and I've been real close a few times, and like you just kind of like on the verge of just accepting something because that's, you know, oh well, I'm gonna do this and this because that's the right thing to do, or I'm gonna stay in this relationship because, you know, the kids or whatever the case may be. And it's like, you know, sometimes you just gotta like, you know, go for what it is that you want. Yeah,
you know, and that was like for me, right, with like getting out of the Marine Corps. Everybody was like, dude, you got 3 kids now. You know, you had no kids like 2 months ago. You know, you know, and I realized something that and it's funny because being with 10th Planet, right? Like seeing like Gio and Boogie, how they kind of blew up.
Ridiculous.
You know? And, you know, I remember when we were in Vista. I remember when we would go, and there was a time when we didn't have a gym. There was a time when we were putting mats together at the Fighter House in Vista, and we were in the living room, and, you know, and
I met Gio and Boogie, like, and when they were just breakdancers, and they were Ryan Fortin's friends, and me and Ryan were working at a gym called Pilot Built in Oceanside.
Right.
And they were Ryan Fortin's friends.
That was when Ryan Fortin had a white belt underground.
White belt underground. Yeah. And they were his friends, and they were trying out jiu-jitsu because they had crazy like body control. They could spin around on their backs and like choke you with their legs. And then like, boom, like slowly but surely, all of a sudden now they're blue belt under Eddie Bravo, and then they have their school and their purple belts. And like, oh shoot, and like before you know it, like, man, they're a testament to like, get on your grind and go.
And that was the thing for me, right? Is like I in the military, in the Marine Corps specifically, you kind of like constantly have the mindset of like embrace the suck. Like it always sucks. Like every Marine always complains about something. There's always something to complain and bitch about. But I noticed with them, and I would tell people all the time, like I was young, I was 19, 20, and people would ask me like, oh, what do I want to do? Am I going to stay in the Marine Corps? I don't know what I want to do, but I know I want to make a lot of money, right? Like a dumb young kid answer, right? And then when I started training with them, I realized that like they didn't have much, man. They like Gio still doesn't even have a driver's license. You know what I mean? And like, but the thing is, they were so sure of themselves. They were so confident, and even now, they're just so happy with who they are. And I realized that through jiu-jitsu, I kind of saw and was able to network and meet with these people who like they don't have a lot of money. They don't have everything, but they know who they are. They're doing what they love, and they get to do it every day. And I realized, like, I'm not enjoying my time in the Marine Corps. I'm almost complaining a lot, you know. And in the military, that's like the norm.
Yeah,
you complain, and that's okay. But being with 10th Planet kind of helped me realize that that's not what life is about. If you're complaining, then you need to fucking make changes. And when I made the decision to get out, everybody was like, "Oh, okay, you know, what are you gonna do? Go to school?" I said, "Yeah, I'll go to school, maybe be an engineer or something." And they laughed, you know, because I'm not. I wasn't the academic type of person, you know. I work hard and I grind, but academically, you know, it was just kind of comical. I even kind of didn't believe it when I said it, you know. I'm like, I guess this is what I'll do, but when the kids came and stuff, and everybody was just like, dude, stay in, don't get out, dude, like, re-enlist, like, stop fucking around. And we made the decision to get out anyways, because that's just, I didn't feel that I belonged in the Marine Corps anymore. You know, I was kind of just blocking everybody out and listening to myself, and what is it that I want? What is it that I want to do? And the first year was fucking hard, man. I've talked about it on the podcast before, and I'm a huge advocate for veterans and things like that, because no matter what the class they sent me to get out, the Marine Corps, they couldn't prepare me for the adversity that I was going to face. I joined the Marine Corps at 17 years old, man.
Yeah.
You know, and now I get out and I have a family, and the Marine Corps gives you this blanket that you don't realize you have. You know, they take care of, I'm guaranteed a paycheck every 1st and the 15th, meals, medical, dental, housing, everything that I need, my family needs, they would take care of. And the first year that like I got out, you know, I got out in 2017, and like, you know, that whole year of that transition was fucking hard for us, man. It was very, very difficult. But, you know, we adapted, and I tell people all the time that that was the best decision I ever made, because I'm growing, I'm getting better, you know, like, just as a person, right? As a person, spiritually, mentally, being in school, like, you know, I've put on a few pounds, but mentally I'm way different. The way I think, the way I process information, my study habits have changed, you know. Like, school isn't as hard as it was, and I'm in way harder classes now, you know. And now I'm because of that, because it's like, you know, I was kind of grappling with school and life and being out of the military and accepting, like, look, you're not a staff sergeant anymore. No one cares about the shit that you did. None of that fucking matters. You're just a normal person. Like, just wrestling with that for a year. And I was able to kind of get a hold of my life, you know, and now I'm getting back in a routine. I'm training. I started the podcast back up. And, you know, I can't stress enough. And it was almost interesting because I talk about how I want to take the podcast from nothing to something. You know, I want, you know, the name of the podcast to be, you know, the route that it takes to, you know, its platform of success that I see it being eventually. I almost had to take that break away from it to improve myself and get my shit together, you know, to be able to take it to that next level, which is what we're doing right now. And I'm just a huge advocate for fucking do what you love, man. In the military, all these people told me, dude, don't get out. But none of them have ever been out. Yeah. So how can they tell me, how can they make that recommendation when they only know one side of the recommendation, you know? And I think a lot of people are stuck in that rut, not just in the military, but in life, you know? Like, yeah, you face adversity, man, you fight through it, and it sucks. And I agree, you do meet points where you feel like you're at your lowest, you know, and you feel real down on yourself. You're like, well, shit, man, this isn't what I wanted or where I saw myself being. But the important thing is that, like, eventually you get through it, you know? I'm sure you've experienced lows that, like, where right now you can look back on and be like, I overcame that low point, and now, you know, I'm at a rise of where I was before. You know, it's ups and downs. It's gonna happen, but you need that to improve.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like the story behind Bare Knuckle, like how I got linked up with that circus.
No, yeah, this is a cool thing.
No, they're cool, man.
It just came out like what, like 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 1 year ago,
June 6th, 2018.
Dude, I know it's hot. Let me tell Melanie to turn the air on real quick. Hey, can you just tell Melanie real quick? Just tell her it's hot in here. Maybe it's all this equipment.
Now the boys are getting hot.
Keep going, or
yeah, let's do it, man.
Okay.
We're good.
So I had my last fight for Bellator in 2016, and you know, like I went out to Italy. I got knocked out in like I don't know, like 80 seconds or something like that. Alessio Sakara, like I kind of just, I don't know, I guess you could say like committed MMA suicide. I just like looked at him. I was like, well, fuck it. I'm going for it. I probably should have wrestled. I probably should have used tech, but I just said, no, man, I'm not going to prolong this. Like either him or me. And I ran to the center of the fence and just started chucking him. And he caught me the right hand behind the ear. And like, that was that. I failed and whatever.
And so that was for Bellator?
That was for Bellator, yeah, 2016. After that, I had this job at UFC gym and I was killing it. Like I had way more money in my pocket than I did when I was fighting, just from like selling. I was like, I don't just have to talk about fighting and teach people how to fight. I don't actually have to fight.
Yeah.
And like the thing about me is like, I know, like I've always been, like straight up, I've always been like an alcoholic since I was a little kid.
Mm-hmm.
I just know that. Now I know that about myself, like going through the program and stuff like that. And so, but I was able to manage it when I was fighting, because I would be like, my mindset would be like, there's no way I have a problem. I can stop for months at a time. Like, really, I don't have a problem. Like, what are you talking about? And I would like, I would go, I would win or lose, whatever. If I won, we're partying. If I lost, well, we have to drown out the sorrow somewhere. And I would go hard in the motherfucking paint, like partying, and like my teammates at the time too. Like we would just like feed off each other, and like you don't really see nothing bad about it because we're all the guy that you're sitting like on the other side of the bar with, or whatever it is that you're doing. Like they're fighting at the highest level as well,
right? And
you're just like, like this is just normal. This is just normal. And so once fighting was over, and I just still had all this money coming in, I was just like, boom, man, I lost, for lack of better terms, I'll save you the drunkalog, but I definitely lost control of my life after about 8 months or so, and I actually had to go check into a fucking recovery center.
No shit.
Yeah, I stayed there for like 4.5 months. But when I was there, like I was able to like really like by that point I surrendered. Like I surrendered to the program, surrendered to my higher power. Like I just want help. I just want to fucking get over this shit.
Yeah.
And so I like listened. I actually did all the work. Anyways, started turning mentally and spiritually, like turning my life around, right? Getting everything like controlled. And I left the Fellowship Center, is the name of it's called. Excellent facility. I definitely recommend it. It's out in Escondido. If you ever need help or somebody needs help, go there. They fucking have a good setup. And so I left, and I was like driving for Amazon. Oh my God. You want to talk about fucking slave drivers? Those poor bastards that drive around in the white vans, like they are I'm talking like you'd get in your van, you load your packages, you have like 250 stops. Like ridiculous.
Yeah, I see them. They stop here. We got a camera out front, and they'll like. I always think about that. I'm like, I wonder how many packages, because it'll tell you when you look at it. Out for delivery today, but then it won't get here till 6. I'm like, damn. That fool must have had a lot of fucking packages.
It's crazy. So I remember I was like driving around, and one of my old managers, he hit me up, and he's like, "Hey, we've been doing a lot of business out in Russia with Brandon Halsey, former Bellator champ. We're doing a lot of business out with Russia with Brandon. Your name keeps coming up out here. They really want you to come out here. Are you in shape?" And I was like, yeah. I've been training. I haven't thrown a punch, thrown a kick in like 5 months.
Right.
Just barely like lifting weights like at Planet Fitness. Like that's bare minimum.
Right.
And I was like, all right, well, I was like, let's see what they say. See what they say. You know me, money talks. I'll go fight anybody. And so then, like, time goes by, and I remember, like, one day I'm, like, literally sitting at Jack in the Box, like, hating my life, like, eating a burger. And then he calls. He's like, Sergey Karatanov, 20-20, 5 weeks. Can you be ready? I was like, 20,000? I was like, yeah. I'll fucking go tomorrow. And so that's what happened. So then I was like, it was like, you got 5 weeks to get ready to fight Sergey Karatanov off the couch. And I went to work, man.
Yeah.
Just do anything what I'm capable, what I'm comfortable with, hard work.
Right.
And I just got down to it, man. And flew out to Russia. Like, first of all, Russia's awesome. Like, we have this misconception that, like, Russia's like crazy, like the Cold War, like people walking around
fucking
like,
communists.
Yeah. I was like, dude, it's just really cold.
It's the red enemy.
It's really cold. People aren't very nice on the street because they're cold and they're hustling to get to wherever they're gonna get. But like once you like,
dude, get the fuck out the way. It's like
exactly. Yeah. Like, so don't look, just walk. And so then super nice people. And we got out there, fought Sergey Karatanov for Russian cage fighting championship. And the cool thing is that nobody really knew because it was out in Russia. It wasn't promoted stateside. Went all 3 rounds. Like,
this was MMA.
Yeah. And so went all 3 rounds, lost the decision, and did really, really well. Like, busted him open with some elbows, and I did a really good showing for myself. Like, they were really happy. All the crowd was like coming up, telling me good job, and it was great, man. So then I got back, and I was like, all right, well, I still have some gas in the tank. Let's do it.
Yeah.
So I started training, started losing weight because I was pretty fat. I was like 270.
Mm-hmm.
And I started training, started trying to get fights, and I just couldn't get any love. I don't know. I think it's a combination, like, you know, maybe they thought that I had a high price point or something like that. But I was like, I don't care. I'll fight for a fight. I just need to get momentum going. I need to get my name back out here. I'll fight for $1,000. I don't care. Like, I just couldn't get any love.
Right.
And so then my old coach from Alliance, Eric Del Fioro, who at the time was managing Rowdy Beck, or Rollins. And he's like, hey, man, these bare knuckle people keep asking about you. Would you do this? I was like, well, you know me, man. Money talks.
Yeah.
See what they say. And then he's like, it's in a tournament for $50,000. I was like, oh yeah, let's go. Let's do it. And then I found out it was with Tony Lopez. I was like, oh yeah, I'll fight that idiot for free. A little quick history on me and that guy. We fought one time, and we fought years and years, like 2007. And he snapped my arm, and because I refused to tap, and he snapped my arm in a Kimura, and so then I had to like wait like a full year. I went on like a 5 knockout win streak to finally get a title shot. We went all 5 rounds, and then they screwed me on a decision. But then the next fight, like, I fought Houston Alexander, went to UFC, rest is history for me, and he stayed being the king of the cage fucking champion for the rest of his life. Well, whatever. I think I got the better end of the deal. So I was like, yeah, you're gonna fight Tony Lopez. Boom. Okay, let's do it. Funny thing is, so I get out there for the bare knuckle fighting championship, and they're like pumping up Rico Rodriguez or like all this stuff. And I just had to keep checking myself, like, whatever. Don't let my ego get a hold of me. But inside, I was like, these motherfuckers really know, like, who the fuck I am? Like, really? And though, like, the day of the weigh-ins, they tell me, I get my contract, and I see that it says alternate bout on it. And I was like, what the fuck? I was like, I'm not alternate. Like, we're in the tournament. And then the guy, Feldman, he's like, I don't know. He's like, whoever you were talking to Paul Tyler, who's this other guy who used to work there, and he's like, "No, you guys we're always for the alternate spot." And I was like, in my head, I was like, "Just take a breath, Joey. It doesn't matter. Just whatever. You're already here in fucking Cheyenne, Wyoming. You're gonna fight regardless. Just go fight." Okay. So then we show up the day of the event, and they're like, give us the bout order, and they made us the swing bout. So if people that don't know what the swing bout is you don't have a place in the bout order. You literally have to stay warmed up at any time, because whenever there's a break, or you might be literally the last fight and you're not going to get any TV time at all.
Dude, does this? I feel like this happens a lot. I feel like promotion, they drop the ball a lot of times with a lot of fighters, and then they show up to weigh in and they get fucked over. I've heard hundreds of like nightmare style stories like this.
Yeah, well, keep in mind, once again, for me, I had to check my ego, because this is happening to me fucking after all those years of fighting the UFC, all those years fighting Bellator, and I'm like, really, you fucking mom and pop operation, you're gonna tell me I'm the motherfucking swing belt?
Right,
then I had to check myself, it's all right. It's all right. I know that if we get on TV, we're gonna light this place on fire. We're gonna steal the show. And I just kept telling myself that. I know Tony's no punk. I know I'm gonna fucking try to take his head off. And sure as shit, man, we got on. The way it worked out, we got on. We were the second to last fight of the night, and those that have seen that fight went viral. Our fight was on World Star.
I've seen it.
It's crazy, man.
You guys got all bloodied up, huh?
Yeah. We were going for it, and I won a decision, and it was like. And then after, when they packed their co-main event, they said that our fight was a co-main. I'm like, no, don't you try to fucking do that. Don't you try to do that, you son of a. And so
that's hilarious. Damn.
I was like, they're like,
no, you guys actually don't even have a spot on the card. Great fight. That was the co-main event of our venue.
And then the last fight of the night was Rico Rodriguez, and he stunk up the joint.
Yeah.
The former UFC champion. Respect him for that, but he stunk up the joint as a bare knuckle boxer. And so it all worked out for us. And then, here we are now. This is my fourth fight with the promotion. The cool thing
was that your first fight with them?
That was my first fight.
Your first fight.
And then I stayed. Then of course, Rico Rodriguez got hurt or whatever. They pulled him because he stunk, and they made me the alternate in the tournament. So then I show up for the tournament, and one of the big things so we fought in June, and the semifinals of the tournament was in August. And my hands were not healed at all. My face had healed. My hands weren't healed, to the point I was during warm-ups in the back for the fight, I hit the mitt too hard. I was like, no, I'm not fucking doing this. I was like, I'll just do some jumping jacks, just a push-up, get warmed, and I'll just save my hands for the fight.
Yeah.
So I couldn't warm up by punching, so I just went out into the fight and just slung them.
So I actually have some questions. Those of you listening at home, I know a lot of people see this, right? Oh my God, bare knuckles. What are they doing? But there's actually a lot of research going on behind fighting, right? And they're saying that like similar to football, right? We're having all these massive injuries in football, and it's not happening in rugby. And they're actually correlating that with the padding. They're saying that the padding in football gives a false sense of protection, so you're actually willing to smash into each other in a much more vulnerable position, right? And there's been talk about how fighting's the same way, is where wearing gloves or wearing MMA gloves or boxing gloves, whatever. It gives a false sense of protection. And the truth is, when they wrap your fucking hand up, man, those wraps, your fists are like hammers at that point. Yeah. So how does it work? Is there a commission that comes out there and are you allowed to wrap your hands? Is it just knuckles, wrists? How can you?
So the rules is you can tape your wrists or hands. It's like a 2-finger rule. So the knuckle down, 2 fingers. The tape can't go past that.
Got it.
So you can tape up to here, tape your wrist. I tape my wrist.
Can you tape your whole thumb if you wanted to?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I mean, the thing isn't in our sport, you're allowed to clinch.
Oh,
clinch with one arm. So I like to have my
right. You need that. Yeah.
You can clinch. For lack of better terms, hockey fight. So So yeah, man, there's some variables into it that make it like its own unique game.
Right. And it's like boxing, but it's not because
I can grab you behind the head and pull you in an uppercut.
Yeah.
So it's fun.
And an uppercut's gonna do a lot more damage like that than with the gloves.
You know, the thing is like me personally, I've never been like a one punch knockout, like throw the heaters like that. I've always been a volume guy. I'm gonna overwhelm you and finish you type fighter. So like for me, it's like I don't really feel like my hands too bad, other than like that first like 5-round war. Like my hands were dusted afterwards, my right hand especially. But I went to the doctor and got it examined, and all I had was strained ligaments. I didn't have any breaks in the knuckles or anything like that. Right. So that was cool. I got lucky on that one. You know, but it's like, as far as like how I feel, I would say like this. As far as like the pain, like for like the pain, how much it hurts when you get hit, it feels the same as getting punched with an MMA glove.
Right.
Okay. The only thing is like you're susceptible to cuts. Like you can't take any punches, really.
Right.
You know, I learned on my second fight, literally first punch, first exchange of round 1, boom. He hit me with the right hand, and it split me wide open, like really, really bad. Like the doctor stopped it immediately, brought me over. Stitch was able to get it to stop, and kept fighting. Started doing a lot better.
So they gave you a stitch right there in the ring?
No, Stitch. No,
oh,
Stitch.
my bad.
Yeah,
Stitch.
No, Stitch.
Stitch, the cut man stitch. Got it.
Stitch,
I was like, damn, they just stitch you up so keep going.
Hey, I would take it.
That's hilarious.
And so I made it, and then like boom, 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 started doing better in the third round. So really started mentally turning around, like, okay, I got this shit, I can do this. And then first jab, fourth round, boom, he hits me again, and it just starts like literally like squirting, like a horizontal line out of my face, like screaming out. I was like, fuck. And then Stitch was like, I'm sorry, mijo, I gotta stop it. I was like, well, you gotta do what you gotta do. So I lost that fight. But so
this was only a couple of weeks after your first fight.
No, it was like 2 months.
2 months.
Yeah.
No, 8 weeks.
Yeah. So like I said, so
that
being said, like when I look at the when I saw that last fight, the Artem Lobov and Jason Knight, that crazy war that went on the last one.
I don't think I'm familiar with it.
So it was just Artem is like Conor McGregor's like buddy or chief sparring partner or whatever your case may be, and him and Jason Knight was a UFC veteran also, and they main evented the last BKFC number 5, right? Mm-hmm. And they just, if you thought my fight was bloody, like, no, that fight was crazy.
Yeah.
My fight was like more like epic because it was like 2 heavyweights and we were at 6,000 foot elevation.
Yeah.
So it's like there was no movement. It was like we were going to stand in front of each other and just hit.
Right.
Like, these were like little guys, like 145 or 55, whatever they are, like just
just going after it.
And so like when they said that they were going to turn around and have Artem fight Paulie Malignaggi on this one,
right?
I was like, that's not going to be enough to heal, but whatever. Maybe he has super healing.
Yeah,
power.
there's a lot of
maybe he has Wolverine powers that you inject.
And there's a lot of animosity between those two right now.
Yeah, So
hey, is that all like glamour? Is that all smoke and mirrors, or is that real
I don't know.
hatred?
I don't know. I don't know. But for me personally, like my manager will sometimes tell me, you gotta call him out. Like start. So I was like, Dave, like you don't understand. Like I'm too sensitive. Like if somebody says some shit to me, like right. I'm gonna fight them in real life. I'm not gonna wait to the cage or to the ring. Like I'm gonna see you at the mall and I'm gonna fucking swing on you.
I think that's important though, that you stick to who you are, right? I mean, it's your manager's job to try to push you outside of your comfort zone and try to get some like fire, but it's also your job to be aware of when like, hey, like I'm not that type of person. Like it's not gonna go how you think it's gonna go.
Like, oh, we're gonna fight. We're not gonna get paid, which means you're not gonna get paid, manager.
Yeah.
But like I don't know, like those guys, they're Paulie. I mean, that's always been his character. Like as far as when he was in boxing, also too. I mean, he's a hot head. He's a loud mouth. So if anything, I mean, it's doing its job as far as bringing eyes to the show.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's something that I'm extremely motivated by, is like, you know, the level of fighters on the car, like on the show that's coming up. I mean, you have Chris Lieben fighting on the co-main. You have the main event. You know, Joe Riggs is on the card. Johnny Bedford fighting a really good Easy Barnett, who was a pro boxer. Easy. He's a pro boxer who's maybe like 4-2, like not that great of a, but he's for some way he kills it at bare knuckle. He's a little guy.
Yeah.
They're fighting for the lightweight title.
Huh.
And you know, I mean, that's going to be a banger. So it just motivates me. Like I'm going to have to do something. I'm ready to do something special to like stand out on that card.
Yeah.
So it's good, man.
Well, I'm excited, man. Where is it going to be? It's pay-per-view. Is it all pay-per-view?
Absolutely. So you can catch it just like on your normal cable pay-per-view. Like my family gets it and they have Cox cable.
Yeah.
Around here.
Can I get it online? I don't have
and
cable.
then so yeah, you can get it on fight.tv.
Fight.tv.
Yeah.
All right.
FITE TV.tv.
TE.tv. Yeah, man. I gotta make sure we get that.
You know,
we're watching it.
It's gonna be a banger.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited, man. I'm excited to see you. I think your story is really cool. You know, because I you know, not to make you feel like, you know, older than me or anything like that. But I remember in high school, I graduated high school in 2008, right? And when I got to high school wrestling about 2004, and my school wasn't that big, right? Like, well, it was a big school, but the wrestling team wasn't huge. Right? It was a real small wrestling team, and every time we would have wrestling tryouts, it was massive. There was like, you know, enough to fill a whole team and then a JV and then some. And after the first week, I mean, it was like 60% of those guys were done.
Yeah.
You know, they just stopped showing up to wrestling practice. And to this day, I feel 100% my kids are going to do wrestling. You know, they're going to try it out because it was one of the hardest things I've ever experienced physically. It was the first time I dealt with real physical adversity. And I think it made me a better person, you know?
Absolutely.
But around that time is like when, you know, UFC kind of started making some noise, you know? And I followed UFC, MMA as a whole from there. And I joined the Marine Corps. And like, you know, I knew who you were. You know, I saw you on UFC. I've seen your fights on Strikeforce. I saw the Bellator fight. And I don't know, man. It's really cool to like follow your story and not know you, right? And then kind of see you from a distance. And like I followed you before a couple years ago, you know, when you had normal jobs and stuff. And then like you'd post, you're like, oh, I'm coaching at the UFC gym now. And then you're training and then you're fighting again. Like I know for you, the ride's really been up and down. And I had no idea about, you know, the demons that you faced recently, but I think that's incredible that you fucking faced them, you battled them, you overcame them, and now you're back into doing what you love. And I think that's the most important thing, man, is like you found your passion, right? And a lot of people throw in the towel, and most people never even attempt to even pursue it.
Yeah.
And you're fucking still going after it, man. And I think that's fucking awesome, dude. Like this bare knuckle fighting thing, it's new, you know, and it's, you know, it's controversial. A lot of people are like, oh, I don't know. Yeah, maybe. But I think it's fucking cool, man. It's combat sports. It's the same mindset, same mentality. It's not as barbaric as everybody thinks, even though it can get, you know, bloody and crazy. But
I always say, like, I was like, it's all violence. I was like, I can get messed up just as bad with a shin to the face or an elbow to the temple. Right. I was like, if all I got to do is worry about some guy's fists, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, that's true.
I'll play that game.
That's true, man. And I've spoken with Chris Lieben briefly. We used to commentate together at Epic, but now he's doing the whole. He's a referee.
Yeah,
right. He's referee now. You know, so I saw him at the last Epic, and they spoke to him because he's on this next bare knuckle fight, and he had one of those another highlight knockout. Was it Phil Baroni he knocked out?
Yeah.
Yeah, when he knocked out Phil Baroni. I think that's one of the cool things about this bare knuckle fighting is like you explained is you can't stand in there and just trade blows and expect to last, you know. Something's gonna happen, you know. Either you're gonna get split open.
A lot more technical than people give give it credit for, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, shit, man. Fuck, that's crazy. Well, I'm excited to fucking see you. I'm excited to check it out, man. You got any shout outs you want to give or anything like that?
Yeah, you know, oh man, I have a lot of people coming through to help out. First and foremost, you know, since day one, you know, Hans Molenkamp and Triumph United, they've been with me literally. I think I met Hans like a week after my first fight in 2007. You know, so he's always been there. You know,
he's the Monster Energy guy, right?
Yeah. Fucking guy that kicks everything.
Yeah,
fucking guy. And you know, so them, of course, El Gallo CBD, you know, Skulltech was super awesome product for protecting your hands. Like, as I needed, like after the first couple of fights, my hands are like in shambles, and I just got my coach pointed this thing out to me. I reached out to this company, and they've been supporting me ever since.
What is it?
It's like basically like this crazy like gel, like kind of like gel pads, and you just put it under your wraps and wrap your hands up like normal, and like you literally like can like punch cement, punch concrete with the little pad on.
Oh, that's pretty dope.
Yeah, it is dope, man. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Let me see. I was like,
go ahead.
I lost track.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's funny, but it's not funny. Like, I get hit in the head a lot. I tend to forget stuff. You know, I don't want to miss anybody. People get upset. They think I don't like them.
Shit, this is June 22nd is this fight, right?
Yeah, June 22nd.
It's like next week, dude. It's fucking crazy that you're here right now, and then in like 7 days you're about to be slanging those things.
I know. Oh, I got Doc Kessler, of course, up in Orange County. Always gives me the tune-ups. Chill Spot Cryo, located in Vista. That's nice.
The cryotherapy.
Yeah. Nat Fit, San Diego. My man Jake Smith, who just got in a crazy. This motherfucker does Muay Thai. Does Muay Thai rules with 4-ounce gloves. Like, yeah.
Where's that?
He does that at Cali Cage Wars.
Oh shit.
Yeah. He's crazy. Yeah. He did good. He knocked the guy out in 26 seconds.
Well, there you go. That's the way to do it.
He's doing all right. Man Up Industries, Greenside Carpet Cleaning. My homie Edgar, longtime friend, reached out to me. And also Roof King, located out in Escondido. So, yeah,
that's
man.
pretty dope. Those are all your sponsors?
Those are all my sponsors, man, coming through, helping me out, and really making this journey a lot easier, you know?
Yeah.
It makes it available. Like, having good sponsors, like, that actually pay, like, it makes it easier. Like, as far as I need to take a day off from my 9 to 5 to get to the gym, get extra sparring. You know, believe it or not, like, good heavyweights are hard to find, especially good heavyweight boxers. Like, they tend to generally be lazy.
Yeah. Well, that's why they're heavyweights.
Exactly. Yeah. Hey, you know. So I would travel down up to LA, Fortune Gym in I guess it's on Sunset. I don't know if that's Hollywood or whatever, but
Sunset.
Yeah. Justin Fortune is awesome. He's Manny Pacquiao's strength conditioning coach. So he opened his doors to me. I got some really good sparring there, really high level sparring there. I got tuned up the first time. I was like, there's levels of this shit. I was like, went back, got him up again. You know, my teammates down at Tiger Smalls has some heavyweights that he's been helping me out with down at Spring 10 Planet Spring Valley. So it's really been a team effort to get me to this point, and I'm really grateful. You know, to my mental coach, who's something brand new that I've never done all those years, like fighting the UFC and like Bellator. I just kind of figure it out on my own. Like how a fight day, like I have no ritual or anything. Like, so like this guy like coincidentally like reached out to me like through Instagram, and then like I've been working with him for like the last 5 months, and I just night and day, like how like now like I'm excited. Right. I used to get nervous, like fuck, I don't want to talk about the fight. I don't want to talk about it. And then like the day of the fight, I'm like fuck, I actually have to go fight. Like no, like today, like I'm pumped, man. I'm pumped. Like I'm physically, mentally, spiritually prepared to go out and perform to my highest level. You
know what I've noticed though, especially with me and my experience in like wrestling or fighting or jiu-jitsu tournaments, is like when I'm like I'm always a little nervous when I go out there, but when I'm more, I always think about it, and hindsight's 20/20, and I think I'm like I was more nervous than I was excited, and I realized that it's like kind of my my subconscious telling me that I didn't do everything that I could to prepare. You know, it's almost like, damn, I kind of slacked off. But when I'm more excited, you know, a little bit of nerves, but when I'm like excited to get in there and put on, I know that like I did everything I could, dude. I was training every day. I busted my ass at that point. So I think it's good. I think it's good that you feel.
Well,
yeah,
like the confidence, like, you know, my confidence is built and paid for every day in the gym. You know,
right?
But what am I doing to prepare? Like every workout is like, okay, put that in the confidence bank, put that in the bank, put that in the bank. You know, and it's like, you know, and also too embracing the fact that I know I'm going to get scared on the fight day.
Yeah,
I'm going to be afraid.
Right.
But I also know that once I walk out and music hits and I walk into the ring, I'm not afraid anymore.
Yeah.
It goes away.
Right.
So like this time around, just to embrace the fear and just know that it's going to fuel me, and I'm going to, as a human, as an animal, like when you're afraid, you run faster, jump higher, hit harder.
Right.
So just know the fear is going to make me that much more of an animal, more of a savage, and fuck some shit up, you know.
Well, thanks, Joey. I appreciate you coming on here, man.
Hell
you
yeah,
want to give where can the people follow you at personally?
Yeah.
Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. What do you
got? I got the Twitter. I'm on the Twitter at Mexicutioner760. I'm on Facebook, Joey Beltran, and Instagram at Joey Beltran _MMA.
Oh, there you go. Make sure it's you.
Yeah. Yeah, you know.
Well, shit, guys, we're about to get out of here. Thanks a lot for tuning in to another episode. Danny Moe and Joey Beltran from Nothing to Something. We're out.